No! You will remove that this instant!
In honor of this video, I'm doing my most pearl outfit. I even put on my, I don't know, this gem. This might be plastic. This is opal though. Hi friends, my name is Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and today I'm gonna piss off some people.
I'm going to kill you.
If you're a fan of Steven Universe and you enjoy watching commentary videos, you've probably seen some of these on the internet. And you might have noticed that all of them have a significant amount of dislikes. Not just like a typical, oh, I'm gonna dislike for the sake of it. There is a clear sign that talking about this show gains negativity from the audience. What is it about this show that makes people so passionate to the point where we will argue and say the rudest things online just to defend a certain character, plot point, etc. Well, I want to talk about that. So today we're going to be making up our mind on Steven Universe. If you're new to this series, basically I do my makeup while talking about something in internet, pop culture, and media. Every product will be linked in the description for your pleasure because I don't want to talk about them. As much as I'd like to make my own Steven Universe movie because there's a lot to talk about, the show, the movie, the Steven Universe future, which is like the ending season, I can't do that. So if this video does well, and I hope it does, because I rewatched the seasons for this. So let me know if you want a part 2 to talk about Steven Universe future, because I'm gonna call it Steven Universe is imperfect, the future. My brain, like this IQ level. Some disclaimers, because I know some of y'all already disliking the video and typing your paragraph. Don't worry, you can do it. It'll also boost the video. Thank you. Mwah. I love the show. I literally grew up with it. I waited for every Steven bomb, and I was a big fan of it the entire series. However, nothing is free from criticism, and it's especially when there is a show or something that stands out from the norms, because if you're not aware, Steven Universe is very prevalent in the queer community because it shows a lot of gay space rocks expressing their love, because why not? And for a kid's show to do that, because it's technically on Cartoon Network and is labeled a kid's show, that is, let's say, revolutionary. Not completely original. Someone's gonna be like, this isn't the first to do it. We know! Someone from the 1900s did it. I get it. Who's dying? You can't deny the milestones this show made for a bunch of different communities. And especially in marginalized communities, when you have something like this that is so popular and we hold to a higher standard, it's kind of like you can't criticize that because then you are considered homophobic. How dare you shit on the only show we have? It's not the only show. It is hard to accept listening to someone openly bash your favorite show on the internet because you either grew up with it or you're very passionate about it, and you have every right to be. I just want this to be an open dialogue because I'm not going to be the one who is screaming into their mic. I know this is important for queer people, especially younger ones, but by having a younger audience, you kind of subject yourself to more toxicity because typically, repeat that part, younger fans can be more toxic because they don't have a grasp on how cringe they're being online. Telling people your mom hates you, you know, that type of stuff. Intense fans just tend to not accept opinions of a show that fills a void. And because most younger people right now are growing up with like She-Ra, Steven Universe, kind of their only show they've been exposed to. So I get it, why they're so passionate about it, but let's talk about it for like before we massacre each other online. So just please understand, I'm not coming from a place of hatred. If anything, because I love this show so much, I want to critique the parts that weren't so good so that we can see better shows like this in the future. I'm just gonna be sharing some points I've seen online and from personal experience about the show that hopefully opens your eyes on why we shouldn't treat it like the second coming of Jesus Christ. Steven Universe easily, hands down, has one of the most complex plots of any kid show I've seen. Fascist dictator space rocks that dominate the entire universe, and you have a small group wanting to rebel against them? Give it to me. Tell me how Rebecca Sugar managed to include genocide, war, dictatorships, destroying the essence of a gem, aka shattering, mental health issues, toxic relationships. How did you get that approved? I want to know. The world building, well, some people say it's not that good. I think it's good enough because you don't question why gems are there. You understand how gems work within the first episode, so we don't have to question why they do this or that and how they have these powers. The problem I have with this show is that it doesn't focus on this amazing plot. The show is conflicted on whether or not it wants to be a dramatic or a comedy series. A million shattered gems is about to destroy the world from inside its core. Oh wait, Uncle Grandpa. Malachite, one of the most powerful and dangerous fusions we've ever seen so far is trapped at the bottom of the ocean and could emerge at any point in time. Wait, let's talk about watermelons, sentient ones. I'm not talking about the jokes in general. Obviously, every show has jokes no matter what, but this usually gets excused within every show because you say it's a kid's show, like it has to be comedic. It can't be all drama. And I think that's a lousy excuse because you can essentially use that for all of my future points I'm about to talk about. Let's keep in mind, the show has literal dictators. They just don't say they're dictators. Are we sure it's meant for kids if we talk about genocide, mental health? I'm not saying mental health can't be a discussion, but typically it's a little taboo with the younger people, and I blame the education system. But if we're going to talk about death of millions of a species, I think we can also not include dedicated episodes that are just focused on being funny. Every dramatic series needs comedic relief, I get that, but what we don't need is the amount of filler in the show. If you grew up watching this show, you will know that there is a lot of filler episodes, and what I mean by that is the show isn't centered on the main plot point driving the series. When we talk about diamonds coming to Earth within the first season, we still have episodes dedicated to Frybo, other characters of the series. They're not the main characters. We don't need to know the backstory of every single side character. They also don't need to be inserted into the plot when it doesn't make sense. That doesn't mean focus on only the gems. That means I don't need an entire episode dedicated to Ricardo and Garnet together. And I don't think any of us would have as much of a problem with this if the show was organized better. For example, I'm going to talk about one of the biggest arcs in the show, the cluster. Of this arc, only 3 episodes are dedicated to the actual cluster, and look at how they are organized. Beginning, middle, end, which is literally rising action, climax, resolution. Why would you actually spread them out? We know it goes like this, but you don't have to literally spread it out throughout the whole arc. You would think that something as pressing as a planet potentially blowing up would have more urgency within the show because it focuses on being realistic, having a timeline. Just stack those episodes together and then have your filler plots, because we can't be worrying about the cluster emerging while also talking about Steven's birthday. I think one has more weight to it. Oh look, we just defeated Malachite. Oh my god, the cluster's emerging within the same episode. They literally forgot about the cluster until it made an earthquake and inserted itself into the end of that episode to justify the next part. Every time a big thing happens in the show, like diamonds approaching, Starship season 1 coming, Garnet's wedding being ruined, the ending of Steven Universe the movie with the diamonds arriving, they are always inserting themselves at the end. It seems like an afterthought. Why would you make your biggest plot driver at the end? Kind of like, oops, we forgot to put that in there. Let me just have them fly up from outer space, because they can do that. Let your plot flow, just like how you emphasize that it has a realistic timeline as well. You are not an average sitcom or like a comedy series like Adventure Time, so don't organize your episodes to be like that. That's why we don't care as much about The Office or How I Met Your Mother when their plots are sort of like willy-nilly, because each episode is a unique idea, a new problem, a new thing to talk about. Not Steven Universe. This also wouldn't be an issue if it wasn't the way they released episodes. So if you are just watching it this year, good for you. You didn't have to experience something called Steven Bombs. So during season 1, it was kind of consistent, like they released an episode every day, or maybe it was every week, but eventually they started doing Steven Bombs, where they would release 5 episodes within a week and call it Steven Bomb, and then a title that generalizes all the episodes. It sounds good on paper, like, oh, mini arcs within the season, but when they released the next Steven Bomb, it would be weeks after, months even. Sometimes I think the max was 260 days we waited for the ending of a season, not even a new season. I can wait 4 years for the next Attack on Titan season, besides part 2 of this one. What I don't want to do is wait for the climax of an arc. Imagine waiting over 200 days just for 3 of the 5 episodes to be filler. Even then, I didn't care at the time because I was so into the show already, like they pulled me in season 1. It kind of felt like they could do anything they want within the episodes and I would still watch it up. I would eat it up just because I was so desperate to watch another episode. But now that I rewatched it, I was like, why did I wait so long just to see Steven's birthday? I also don't think it's a good strategy to have inconsistent scheduling when releasing episodes. You wait 200 days for 3 episodes of 5 to be filler, only to wait 100 more days for the actual arc to end. That would piss some people off. I don't understand why they did this either. Like, why not just release one episode a week? For anyone who thinks they're animating it like the week of, that is not the case. South Park can do that, not Steven Universe. And for any producing company who wants to continue this, don't, okay? I've already been scarred of Attack on Titan Season 2. Don't do that again. I've lived through waiting for Neon Genesis Evangelion. Don't do it. So because I was so invested in the show, I became blind. I was so Tati blind to the lack of content within each Steven bomb. I've been saying bomb a lot. This better not get demonetized. So this isn't a problem now because it's all released on HBO Max and other platforms. So you have the pleasure of not waiting as long. But if you want to watch it, I dare you to wait the same amount of time I did and see if it messes you up a little bit. If it pisses you off just a little bit when you see that, I just waited that long for a filler episode. Finally, why does every obstacle, not physical, in Steven's path get fixed with a hug? Sometimes literally. Don't you dare say kids show. Leave this room if you do. Figuratively speaking, most if not every problem that comes into Steven's way gets fixed with, ooh, hugs and kisses. It kind of just turns into like a literal kid show, like Cocomelon level of fixing a problem. Dora the Explorer level of, we did it, like we solved genocide. Once again, someone's gonna say, it's a kid's show, let them do it. No, because you can't fix genocide with hugs and kisses. These are emotionless dictators that have been alive for thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. You're telling me they will be convinced to change their ways of society just because a kid said no you? The cluster's about to break, hug it. Literally hug it. And this is also the time where it's like, oh, I guess gem shards can bubble other shards because you don't need your hands anymore, just use your mind. It's a little convenient. I personally would have liked to see the cluster like almost emerge, sort of break part of the United States, because why not? Near Louisiana and Alabama. And then the gems sort of swoop in. Think about this. After Malachite died, the gems were still stuck on Super Watermelon Island. We don't know where that is, but they said, we can't help you fix the cluster. You're gonna have to do it with Peridot alone, which is kind of stupid. Only you can solve the world's issues, Steven, not us that are sworn to protect the Earth for thousands of years. But wouldn't it be nice if the cluster like actually was going to form, because they baited us by saying going to form.
Going to form. Can't stop.
Starts forming, breaks out of the Earth's crust just a little bit, and then the gems eventually swoop in. That would feel more of an adrenaline rush on the audience, and I feel like we would be more invested in being like, oh my god, are they actually gonna blow up the world? I also have a problem with the fact that they talk about the cluster as like a planet-breaking weapon. Don't y'all think it would have been a little bit bigger, like size-wise, if it's millions of shattered gems? I mean, from what I saw from Peridot's end, it made me more scared to see that. But it's just a hand, and I kind of got a little bit sad seeing it just be a hand. And it also did emerge at some point. I guess we can emerge without destroying the Earth if we're all peace and love and we made up. But back to love and kisses. Yellow Diamond is about to stomp Steven, and she almost did. How does Steven fix it? Pink. Oh yeah, Yellow's fighting with Blue again in what could have been the most badass fight ever in the franchise, because you're seeing two diamonds fight. It lasts for 5 minutes, not even, and then what happens? Oh, not every pork chop is perfect.
Stop using your power on me.
I don't even want to look at it.
I think we just all like it more if the climax of each arc didn't end with a resolution 5 minutes after the climax. Do you know what I mean? It feels like we reach the peak. It's like, oh my god, they're about to kill each other. And no, fixed. There's less satisfaction in that. We want a catharsis. Make me feel something like Shakespeare did in Hamlet. I'm kidding, I hated Hamlet. But I'll give credit where it's due. Their climaxes were juicy. White Diamond is literally always in her head. Even the other diamonds say no one can reason with her because of that. But if she blushes, everything's good? You're telling me they all changed their way of thinking just because suddenly some kid and his girlfriend, I don't need to speak more on that. I think y'all get my point. Sometimes villains need to be villains for a little bit longer than 20 minutes in order to make a good villain. The White Diamond ending was too rushed, and the episode is called Change Your Mind. You can't change someone's mind that easily. I've had homophobic parents for 3 years. It doesn't happen that fast. And it's not literally about homophobia in the show, but it's sort of coded in there with the fact that like they don't understand why other people are off-colored and want to fuse. And they're not supposed to, because it's different from their culture. But culturally, You can't change it that fast. And also, I don't think Steven should be changing so much stuff because it sort of feels like only Steven is right. It kind of turns into more of a religion because in Steven Universe, the movie, they put Steven like on this shrine. There's a book about him. The song is like, everyone believes in Steven. It's kind of weird when we talk about the diamonds overpowering other worlds and destroying them and changing them to fit their way. But Steven himself as a diamond is sort of doing that as well to the other diamonds by changing all their culture. I'm not saying their culture is right. Like, yeah, I don't support shattering. I think Steven needs a little more awareness that not everything can be changed with a hug. Not everything should be changed either. Who are we to say what culture is right or not? In the same way that the diamonds put humans into a human zoo and colonized the earth, I would argue that Steven colonized his origins. Because remember, they become very docile after. They almost turn into, your cool aunt. I dismantled my colonies. I never shatter anymore. Feels like Steven's kind of God in their following a religion. The few exceptions I found during this was Jasper during her entire storyline and Peridot's arc from being a bad gem to becoming a crystal gem. Do you know why? It's spaced out. There is development in their story. Jasper comes as like this buff. She is stronger than everyone. She calls fusions weak, and she stays that way the entire show. Even till the end, Jasper is still hard-headed because that is who she is. She doesn't succumb to Steven. I mean, she does say like my diamond, but that is only till the very end. We still see Jasper as a villainous character, and I love that. I don't want to see Jasper change in an episode just because Steven's like, no, you're being wrong, hug, because that feels forced. Like, you were not trying to change them, you're forcing them to change. It took Peridot almost an entire season for us to go from I hate you to oh my god I love you Green Dorito. Why? Because we see how she learns about the earth. We see her touch rain for the first time, that she is scared of it because we understand she is an alien to earth. She doesn't understand the way we are. So by learning about the environment, about humans in general, eventually she learns and defends the crystal gems.
Try and catch me, you Claude!
That's why that part is so iconic to this day. None of those characters instantly simped for Steven. So why are the diamonds doing that? Only one I can excuse is the blue diamond. She's always had a soft spot for Steven because, pink diamond too. But yellow diamond is known to be harsh. I mean, she feels the most dictatorian of them all. So to Steven, no, you can't fix everything. The show does revolve around you because it is your name. And they're aware of that because in Steven Universe Future, he says to Lars and Sadie, wait, when did y'all fix this? I didn't hear any of it. I wasn't there. It's almost like the animators are aware that if Steven isn't in the show, literally, like somewhere in the background, that part doesn't happen. We don't have to worry about Malachite being at the bottom of the ocean because Steven isn't at the bottom of the ocean. It's only when he's in their dreams that we see them. Even in a filler episode, I would love it if we could get a scene where it goes down the Earth's crust to the cluster and we see like a spark of it trying to form. It gives us a little bit of fear, a little bit of tension. You know how the ending usually is this credits scene? What if after that you see Malachite at the bottom of the ocean? We never actually see that. Obviously it'd be dark, but like think about it lighting up and you see Lapis and Jasper struggling and then suddenly we see Jasper take control. I want to see that struggle because it's nice to see things that aren't related to Steven. No offense to you. Let me know if y'all have any more ideas about it. I'm just thinking of these on the spot. In conclusion, every villain succumbs to Steven eventually, sometimes quickly, and they lose every part of themselves that made them a good villain, which is a perfect segue into... I'm just gonna go through the ones that have critiques about him. So we're gonna start with Garnet. Fan favorite for a good reason. She's great. Before y'all think I'm gonna hate on her, I absolutely love Garnet and Estelle. I can't believe people didn't know who Estelle was before the show, but I'm glad they're starting to learn. I was also baffled when I saw that she was going to be voicing Garnet. But she's the main reason we learn about the potentials of fusion and what a queer relationship looks like. And before anyone says, they're actually non-binary, they just go by she, her pronouns. We get it, they're space rocks. Like it's a literal gem. They're literally minerals, but most if not all of them present as feminine and she, her. So let the lesbians enjoy the lesbian relationship online. Like, I'm done with those arguments. They can be non-binary for you, but don't let that retract from someone else enjoying seeing a lesbian relationship online. It's open to interpretation for a reason. Got it? But this means a lot for Cartoon Network and just for LGBT shows in general because it shows progress. Kind of daring too. The world wasn't ready for it. Some countries actually censored some of these scenes. So why did they get rid of every personality trait that Garnet had after season 1 and only made her about fusion? What's up with that? She was the biggest motherly figure to Steven at the time. It still is. And we also resonated with her because she felt like another mom. She had the best one-liners out of everyone. Her future vision, that was one of the coolest things to have. Why does it come in handy like never in the movie, right? What did Garnet say? Oh no. And then Spinel injects the drill. Like, you don't see it happening, Garnet? I know there's many possibilities, but you didn't see that one? Oh, Spinel's at the top of the lighthouse, which is far away, mind you, like that way. Spinel eventually wraps back around and slingshots herself towards the crystal gems. What did they do? Oh, we're gonna sprint at the tiny pink Mickey Mouse with our weapons and totally ignore the fact that she has the biggest scythe ever on the show. And maybe Garnet couldn't see that coming because she didn't understand what a scythe was, so she can't predict that. But logically, I would duck. I wouldn't run towards the scythe, especially 3 of us. I would kind of split up maybe so she can't swipe us in one go. I know Amethyst said, I'm rusty, give me a break. It also kind of doesn't make sense how Spinel's so good at fighting. I'm gonna excuse that, but the crystal gems, y'all fought for centuries. You fought in a literal war. How are you that rusty when Spinel comes? It's not even like 80 years after the original show. It's like 4 years because Steven just grew a neck. So how did you become that bad at fighting after? I don't get it. I know it's for the plot, but also like, I don't like that movie as much as other people do. I love Spinel, don't get me wrong. She's the best animated character just because I love rubber hose style. Going back to Garnet though, she kind of became an excuse to talk about fusion and only that. I understand why she's so passionate about fusion and why Stevonnie is such a big thing to her, but it's almost like they only cared about that after. Her entire recap during the movie was like, once upon a time, I was 2 gems and now I'm 1. They do this better in the movie and kind of poke fun at Steven because he himself was like, wait, y'all fused. How did you not get your memories back? Because there's more to her than that, as in the truth. So I'm glad they did that in the movie. But towards the show, they kind of dumbed down Garnet in the same way that SpongeBob has dumbed down Patrick and SpongeBob himself in Friends where they dumbed down Joey. It sort of feels like Garnet just became only fusion. So why did they get rid of the multiple traits that made her a complex character? Well, because they knew that the audience would love the fusion. Oh, y'all like Patrick being dumb? We'll make him dumber. It's not that. We don't need more fusion talks to like the fact that she's a fusion. We need everything too, because that's why we love her so much. Garnet went from being the coolest, most badass character in the show with literally more personality than anyone else because she is what? 2 things combined. And then she became one-dimensional. I don't get why they did that. Now let's talk about Pearl, who is obviously my favorite character because I'm doing my makeup based off of her, but also I just resonate with her a lot and she is my birthstone. Misunderstood is the best adjective I can give her because we kind of don't understand why she lashes out at Steven about Rose and why she's sort of covering her mouth all the time, and then it's like, oh, whoa, wait, you went through some shit. All of her issues now, like with Greg, Lion, why she wanted to fuse with Garnet so badly, it all makes sense now. Her own self-concept, like I like the fact that they tease this and they don't really just explain it at the beginning because we want to see more depth in a character. But the problem that people have is that Pearl and Rose, this is mainly about Rose herself, it felt like a glamorized servant relationship that was one-sided. Some might say slave too, like borderline. Pearl's not in the wrong, like she's literally created to be a servant to other gems, so you can't blame her for acting that way. But also it's like, she says she's free. She's her own Pearl now. You still do it for other people like Steven. So I'm not saying that she can't do it. Maybe part of her plot is that she thinks she's free, but in reality, she's still programmed to follow other people and serve them no matter what. That'd be nice, but yeah, I don't think she's actually as free as we think she is. But looking back, it just feels like Rose used her for personal gain, but she also did that for a ton of other people, so it's about Rose, not Pearl. And I'm not gonna talk about Gem's mistakes, like why she intentionally fused with Garnet. Those mistakes happen in the show for a reason. You don't want every gem to not make a mistake ever. That's kind of stupid. I'm mainly pointing out things that I don't think the writers intended, but it came across as that. Everyone in the show is flawed. I'm not gonna pick them apart any more than Steven already has. Oh, too soon. As for Amethyst, I don't really have any things to say about her. I just love her. The only part was with Sugilite. So if you don't know, Sugilite is a fusion of Garnet and Amethyst. And this is where we get into coding, not the JavaScript kind. Coding is giving traits of a certain group to a character, typically in like fiction and animation, without explicitly saying they are that group. Usually they rely on stereotypes, but also it can be backed up by voice actors and maybe inspiring the character based on the voice actor, which Steven Universe does do, hence why Estelle sort of looks like Garnet because the glasses. But I think everyone agrees that Garnet is meant to be coded black and Amethyst is something? I don't know, but it's probably not white. Pearl is most definitely white or something to be white passing because, girl, she's pale. And I know people are gonna say, why are we getting into race? We're gonna talk about it soon, bear with me. While they don't have human skin color, the coding is still present, just like how the coding for them to be LGBT is there. So in terms of Sugilite, she is intended to be coded black because, well, Nicki Minaj herself, the queen, does voice her. And even if it's not intentionally to be coded, we subconsciously think that way because we think of the actors when they're speaking. And during the beginning of that plot, it was cool. Like, it was so nice to see Nicki Minaj in a kid's show because you would never expect it. But then Sugilite begins to lose control and she starts destroying everything around her. And who solves the problem? Pearl. And personally, like, I didn't even notice this myself. I had to watch other commentary videos about it to think about it. Pearl says she's too aggressive. You're too much, and then leaves to talk about, you know, being strong in the real way. I'm going to preface this by saying, just because you don't see what's happening doesn't mean it's not happening for other groups. Some people may not see racism in terms of Asians in popular movies, but I might because I dealt with it. That should not negate my experience, so don't negate other people's experience with this plot point. Anyways, Pearl, the white-coded character, destroys the aggressive, too much black-coded fusion. It's a little bit, let's just say, coincidence. But why is it when Pearl fuses with Garnet, they are, you know, sardonyx, this elegant, what do they say, controlled, flexible fusion. Pearl fuses with Amethyst, opal, chill, like hippie. Oh, it's because Pearl's personality gets in there. Why does Pearl's have priority, you know? Pearl is not special, she's a pearl. They're everywhere, confirmed by Peridot. Garnet is a fusion already. How does Pearl's personality somehow go past Garnet's in the fusion? Why does every other fusion between the crystal gems not become crazy and aggressive as associated with Pearl? Let's just think about it, okay? Open mind. What about the obviously black-coded character Bismuth, and to the voice actor? I was so happy to see her in the show. I was like, dear God, Orange is the New Black crossover. After hundreds of years of being bubbled by Rose, which I'm not gonna get into that. Rose, that was messed up of you. She's just sitting in Lion's Mane, and then accidentally she gets popped and reunites with her friends, mind you, her friends that they fought in war with. She gets poofed and bubbled again within the same episode to who? Steven, who is what? White. Bismuth was too aggressive and had too many outlandish ideas. Anything that comes in Steven that is an obstacle must be suppressed, so Bismuth is essentially an obstacle now, therefore must get suppressed. People are saying this is just a aggressive black female in front of the white boy who is potentially going to be hurt. So we can't have that on television. But then Steven does the same thing. She bubbles her again, but this time she tells the crystal gems. So that just excuses it? Garnet, you're not gonna say anything, nothing wise. Like, we have no words about this on how to change their mind. We can change the diamond's mind, but not Bismuth until the end of the wedding. Why even bother showing Bismuth if she wasn't even gonna have an arc? Wasted potential. Why does Bismuth have less episodes than Ronaldo? And why did Rose bubble Bismuth? Like, why not reason with her first? Maybe with the crystal gems, talk it out. I think one thing we need to talk about is confrontation and talking to people, not just excusing it by pushing it away and silence and never speaking about it and then lying to your friends saying she got killed in the war. That is messed up, Rose. It's like, oh, she wants to kill diamonds. She's too far gone. I can't save her. Bubbled. You know how long it took for Bismuth to come around? 5 seconds. Steven literally unbubbles her, talks it out, done. You waited that long to do that, Steven? We couldn't do that earlier? So what I'm getting at is that the black-coded characters have traits / stereotypes that are rooted in racism. Historically speaking, when black people were on TV shows, because mind you, they weren't there the whole time. Most people didn't want them in the first place, but when they were portrayed, it was initially as too aggressive. They went to jail. or they were criminals. That similarity does make people uncomfortable for a good reason. I'm not gonna speak more on it. I'm just going to say it's just probably racially insensitive. Most people can be that way. I don't think it's actively racist. I think we need to differentiate the two a little bit more, but that doesn't excuse the way they were portrayed. Maybe y'all didn't think twice about it because I didn't when it initially aired, but if you think about other people's opinions and listen to them, let's try to respect them instead of saying it's not all about race and it's a kid show. And if you still think it's a coincidence, just look at this initial design for a gem. She can't read. The lips? The color? Not the best look, especially when you make that design public to the world, Rebecca. I don't know why we didn't double check that. I don't think anyone logically would put that online. Next up is Rose Quartz / Pink Diamond. I'm just gonna say right here, you're selfish. You were acting like a selfish teenager. Maybe that's the way the show wanted you to be, but goddamn, she became the most hated character, I think, out of everyone. Just because you didn't agree with what your parents did and what their culture is like doesn't mean you can just flee all your responsibilities and then start playing around with your lovers. Lovers, plural, because Greg, she's already said she's had many lovers in the past. Pearl as well. Mess with their emotions, lie to your friends about your other friend who got bubbled. Leave your parents in despair for hundreds of years, knowing that they're going to come for you. Your son, which you said, peace, I don't want to deal with that, so I'm gonna leave it to my baby. Have Steven be the one to fix it all. You don't even know if he can because you didn't want to deal with the repercussions and responsibility that you caused. Pink Diamond is the rebellious teenager of that family, and she's so rebellious that she just said, peace. Goodbye. Rebecca Sugar managed to make the character with the most secrets the most hated, and unless they intentionally wanted her to be the true villain and the most hated character in the show, I don't think it should have all fallen on Pink. Even with Spinel, like, that made us hate Pink even more. But it's a little hypocritical because everyone's like, oh, Pink's so sympathetic with the way she was characterized as, but when was she? If anything, I feel like she just had pity. She's like, oh, these humans, we're destroying them. We should help them. I feel bad. Like, after the colony already started, sort of felt like she had a fetish for humans as well, just a little bit. It's like, oh, y'all are so interesting. Tell me more. I think it's just the voice too that does it. Lapis Lazuli. Everyone's starting to pay attention now, aren't they? She's a fan favorite, I know. So I'm going to tread lightly, and I'm not sorry for saying this. You're toxic, not you, Lapis. It's fine to be toxic. I don't want you to not be. In fact, I get it because you were stuck in a mirror for lots of years. I'm losing track of the hundreds versus centuries now, so I'm just gonna say a lot of years. You were in a mirror, you hated the crystal gems, rightfully so, but you also liked Steven and then stole the entire ocean. Which also, like, how did everything not die after that? We know how important the ocean is. I feel like they just assumed everything would be okay after. I get it, this isn't an environmental show, it's fine. But then you abused Jasper for an entire season under said ocean. I don't know why everyone always says like Lapis is a victim. She's the abuser in most scenarios. Oh, it's because she has PTSD from her past. That's why she went from abused to abuser. Yes, that's good. That's a reality that happens. It's nice to see that in the show for once. What's not realistic is that she faces zero repercussion. She steals Peridot's, the barn, okay? That's her home. And everyone loved their relationship together. And even like Peridot, I would say she had some feelings for Lapis. Probably platonically because I think Peridot is confirmed asexual. Either way, y'all were close and Peridot always loved you more than you loved her, because if you loved her as much, you wouldn't have taken your home, her home. Her actions make sense, but it doesn't make it right. You don't get to stay on the moon and then conveniently plop down in front of Blue Diamond. And what do you all do? You say, hey, to the crystal gems. What do they do?
You're really here.
Hey.
Lapis! You came back!
Oh my god, we missed you. Like, think about this in your life. If someone left you, didn't speak to you, literally, for, let's just say a year, comes back without telling you beforehand, and all they do is say, hey, what would your first reaction be? Would it be to hug? I'd be a little mad. If I was Peridot, I'd be a little bit mad because, bitch, you stole my home. That was my barn. You stole her cottage core potential. I think they're all kind of too nice on Lapis. Like, this also happens with Steven. Characters that are favorites don't face the repercussions that would happen in real life if they did those same things. This is talking about Steven Universe Future. That's another episode. I can't do it. I also saw some people online saying, hey, wait, I identify with Lapis a lot. Does that mean I'm being toxic? Am I intentionally being toxic to my friends? And the answer is maybe so. Sometimes we are like that, especially when it comes to our mental health. I know when I was young, at least, I was a bitch to my friends, and I would put off by saying I was sad, like, you don't know my life, my parents hate me, like I have a depressing home. Saying all of that doesn't make it less true, but I don't think it's ever okay to push your mental health struggles or to use those as an excuse for bad behavior. And I think we're trying to justify Lapis's behavior by saying, oh, it's because of her past. Yeah, that's true. But why does she not get punished for it? I'm not saying like we need to shout at her, but she has no repercussions in the show. It's always fine. And this is a bigger topic, the idea of am I being toxic without being aware? I think we've all had mental health struggles, and if you didn't, how did you do it? It just depends on your surroundings, your environment, and your relationships. But the important part is addressing it, acknowledging it, and actively trying to get better and fix it. And I feel like with Lapis, people think it's okay to be like that, to be toxic to your relationships. With Jasper, we all know she admitted, I abused you, I used you, I hated you.
I was terrible to you. I liked taking everything out on you. I needed to. I hated you. It was bad.
It'll be better this time. I've changed. You've changed.
And Jasper just pushes it off like, it's fine, I'm better now, which is a sign of someone who is in an abusive relationship but doesn't see it or still likes that person. And then what does Lapis do? She punches her into the ocean. Like, dude, kind of feel bad for Jasper now. So this is more of a bigger thing where if you're questioning like if you're toxic or not, I would just say confront your friends about it, ask them, have an open conversation, because communication is important, and I think the show doesn't talk about that enough. Don't come onto the comment section and ask me or us, because we are all in different situations. A lot of my audience is younger. They also might be questioning their own stuff, so let's not seek help from other people who don't know themselves. And most importantly, we're not professionals. I'm not gonna say a therapist solves everything, but like, if you want to, you should see a therapist. If you want to think about fixing it, ask around the people who know you best, because the comment section, we're all anonymous and strangers. And also don't take advice on the internet as gospel, just in general. Now on to Steven. I don't want to do this because this is hard. This is another case of dude has been through a lot. So much that we almost can't sympathize because it's out of our knowledge of like, what do you do when you never had a parent, but that parent is also you? The amount of struggles, obstacles that Steven has to single-handedly deal with, because once again, he has to fix everything because the show wants him to, actually justifies most of his actions and feelings throughout the seasons. Because have you fought off a space gem? Have you fought off dictators in space? Exactly. But the human side of him is where people can critique him, because we can get those emotions. And I'm going to sort of get into the Steven Universe future because I think that's where most of the problems occur. He kind of just becomes angry, let's just say pink, literally. Steven is somehow more of an adult than everyone else and has matured quickly, too quickly almost, but every other character has no self-awareness. Does no one see clear signs that Steven needs help? He's literally turning pink, he's changing shapes. You've never seen this happen from Pink Diamond. Wouldn't you think to, I don't know, do something? Oh, but they tried. They did not try. I'm not mad at Steven going through it. The dude needs help, and he does get help eventually. What I don't understand is why no one helps him until the end. So it's like every episode, Steven tries to fix something, he gets mad, no one helps him. That's why people got mad at the series. They're like, why is Steven always mad? Because no one helped him to stop being mad. It was the same pattern every episode. He always turned pink. Let me know if you want another video about it. We're gonna get into production. This is more about the show itself, the character design, animation. So being a kid's show does not excuse bad animation. Before anyone starts typing like, but creative freedom and control. No, I'm not talking about that. That's not the point of being an animator on a show. Your job is to literally be consistent with making characters because you need to follow a character model. But what did they not have? A character model, or at least a consistent one. Odds One Now made a video about this. Your job as an animator, unfortunately, is to follow what the other people want you to do. So you don't have as much creative freedom. And maybe they did want to give them more, like they wanted to let them design the characters how they want. Don't do that with a show that doesn't make sense for it. Steven Universe, once again, is not a comedy show, so you shouldn't animate it like Adventure Time, where, you know, some episodes, they are literally in a different format. They look like Minecraft now. It's in 3D, it's in claymation. That is cool because that's also a comedy series. It does have a good plot. I love that show, by the way. And it sort of follows abstract ideas. Steven Universe, while being abstract itself, because Gems, is not abstract in its own setting because these are concrete ideas. These things exist in their timeline. And having consistent character models matters in a show that follows consistency so that the animation flows better and the show looks more consistent. Because think about this, if we saw Steven Universe in 30 different animators animate a show scene, would that look good to you? Did that make sense? Because that does happen in the show. It is different animators animating different scenes within an episode. So Steven can look this tall in one scene, but when he's walking away, he's suddenly taller than another character. Pearl's eyes can look cross-eyed at some points, but then they're spread apart here. Garnet can be another color eventually. She goes from like mahogany and purple all the time, and I don't know which one she actually is. And logically speaking, the Gems literally say their figures are what, like a bending light or something to make them an actual thing that you can see. And when they reform, they can change that, hence why they change their style. They have different clothes, sometimes different hair. When Steven's in space and they're about to go to super speed, what happens? They turn into Ruby size, they turn into Jasper sizes, because that makes sense. That is when you can change the way they look. But changing hair color, eye shape, eye length, separation too, heights, shape, and overall like the general style of that character, don't let it change within each episode. It looks weird, we don't understand it, and the most important part, there's no point for that. Why does it have to be there? It comes across as lazy animation or like less production, and we know they have good production, so don't look like you don't have it. No one wants to hire animators that can't draw the same character twice, so don't make it look like you hired animators that couldn't do that. I will say eventually they corrected themselves. The animation got more smooth and the character models were more consistent. Either way, it felt rushed when each episode came out, and it's like, wait, Garnet actually looked that tall? Is Pearl's nose getting longer? I don't know. Let's take a breather. I feel like we're getting a little bit negative, and I think that's why most people start disliking, because they just say, oh, you hate the show, you like nothing about it. I'm not gonna say good things about a show when we already know they're good. Like, there's no point in me saying this was a very good show for queer people. I enjoy it quite much, and this outweighs everything else. You should already know that. But I'm just gonna remind you, I do like this show. This is a critique video, not a praise video. Finally, Rebecca Sugar themselves. I'm gonna keep this short because I've only heard one thing about them. It's just, how do I say this? There's this show called Ed and Eddie that features 3 kids. I love that show. But Rebecca Sugar made not safe for work drawings, let's just say, about them. I think it got leaked on Tumblr, and it's just like, why? Oh, she was young. No, she was like my age when that happened, I think. Either way, just why? Like, they're children. Let's not do that ever. And also, I don't want to see y'all doing that with Steven ever. It's just a little bit, but that's it. We're getting to the end of my makeup. The sun is setting. This is a messy video today. Overall, I do like the show. I just wish the fandom was a little more accepting of the criticism, because y'all can be messy. And I do want to make a video about the fandom, because while we all say like, oh, those people don't define the fandom how it is, I feel like Steven Universe has an overwhelmingly amount of toxicity because it's such a young audience. So yeah, let's just respect other people's opinions. If they differ from your own, guess what? You're still gonna be alive. The end of the world is not going to happen. We don't need to fight. There literally is no reason. It is my opinion. We're all allowed to have different opinions. Me having these opinions about Steven Universe does not change how you like it, so why fight? I think people who do it just like, they're bored. They have nothing better to do. But this is the final look, so I wanted to give like pearl colors, you know, pastel-y pinks, blues. Hold on, we need to finish this with my glasses so you cover up all the mistakes. I think it looks pretty good. That's all I have for y'all today. So if you enjoyed, give this video a like, leave a comment down below on your opinion on Steven Universe. I would love to have an open discussion, okay? Let's talk about that. Openness, not closed-minded, about the show. And if you want another series, I'll make another video about the future, the movie, or the fandom. Not sure yet. Honestly, it could be a 4-part series because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. But either way, subscribe for more videos every week. I try to post every Saturday. Excuse me if some videos are late. I'm going through school again. It's my last year. So if I don't post on that day, just turn on my post notifications because I will post eventually. Fan art of the week is you. Thank you so much for that. Y'all, I look ethereal. I wish I looked like that every day. I don't, okay? I don't pick roses every day. I don't have florals around me flying glowingly. My waist, period. And yeah, you're just amazing. And also, go support them, please. They deserve it. They're 14 years old and can do this. That's messed up, right? Anyways, I love you all, and everything is less than 3. Oof, look at the cleavage. Oof. Ooh.